All right. Oh, we're back. Hey, hi, everyone. In Facebook land, we're back, which means that you can share this video around if you start getting a lot of reward and really enjoy talking with us. You can share it on your walls, and the more you share it, the more you like, the more you love it up, the more people that will join and receive benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So
we like the hearts.
We love the hearts.
Like the hearts with like. Psh.
I also like the big laughing smiley ones.
Yeah.
They're great. So this is Jay. I'm Avi Esther, and we're gonna answer your questions, and we're gonna talk a bit about the events that Jay is leading on Monday and Thursday. Ooh, wow, we've got some awesome people. So that's my brother Evan.
Ooh.
Yeah, and Kai Dev is a good friend. She's been a very important person on my journey. So I'm
all
glad
the divas.
Yeah, she's a super powerful.
The divas.
Yeah. So welcome everyone. So if you have questions
about anything,
truly, write them there, and we'll get to answer them. And hi Evan, and let's start with talking about the first event on Monday, which is happening at Earl's Court.
Yes. So it's a program that I developed. It's called the Visionary Leaders Workshop, though I think it's under Meditation and Transformation for London. Of course, we see recently there's been the fire to contend with. A lot of people have a lot of really intense feelings, or going through intense experiences, sort of experience of purification. There's a lot of hatred, enmity, a lot of ignorance. We're seeing, sectarian violence. And so one of the things that I really love the most is to spread some of these techniques of peace and self-realization. For me, I received these meditation techniques through a Himalayan master, Yogi Raj. So we will be offering this Earth Peace meditation and the Siddhanath Golden Lotus Heart Chakra meditation. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And the buildings are beautiful, by the way, Steve. Thanks for designing them.
Yeah. And we did well with Steve also, and Avi, and Charlotte. We did this Earth Peace meditation precisely at the summer solstice at the heel stone of Stonehenge.
We did.
And that was pretty powerful.
Super powerful. Super powerful.
Yeah. So that's one component of it. Because for me, it's I believe a lot of my work is the intersection of activism and spirituality. So self-realization, and then bringing that into the world in a practical way, helping people to come together, and in particular. I'm also, what's that?
She's at
Himalayan Master Yogi Raj. So if you go to Hamsa Yogi, youtube.com/Hamsa Yogi, or siddhanath.org, it's he is a direct disciple of Mahavatar Babaji. So if you've read the book Autobiography of a Yogi, it's a living Kriya lineage. And he's just come through UK, and he's on this worldwide tour. He's in Italy right now. So he travels the world, giving healing transmissions, and also offering a modern sort of version of Kriya Yoga. That's Yogananda is offering through Self-Realization Fellowship, but this is a little bit more of a stepped up version. So Yogananda gave the true Kriya, but he gave just slightly watered down version. So. But just still very, very powerful. So that's one component, because for me, like, activism is very, it can be traumatic.
It can be. Why don't you speak a bit about, briefly, some of your experience and your successes with activism?
Sure. And it very much did come out of these modalities for me, because at a certain point, you realize that we are one, not in an intellectual way, but it becomes a visceral experience. So intention.
Hey, we're back.
Yeah.
All right, we had a little break in the Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah.
We're back.
So what happened for me is I left. I was in my early 20s. I've always been involved in community organizing and activism, but I was very involved in the music industry as a musician. And then I left that to go. Eventually, I kind of bottomed out in the lifestyle and went to India to study meditation and be with my master. And what he kept saying was that humanity was really in trouble, and that we needed to get our stuff together. So from that point, and he was talking about a lot of everything that he had predicted actually came true. He predicted the tsunami. And so I was seeing these big events happening, and with some of his predictions, they were quite harrowing. So we were involved. I spent a few years promoting and planning and organizing the Global Meditation Sync of 2012. I think about 2.7 million people joined in on, which was pretty powerful. And then from there, I realized that people in Washington, the policymakers, the intentional communities might talk about peace, but they don't really care. They're going to be making policies to destroy the environment, to allow corporations to create massive income inequality, promoting fracking, creating wars, and this is all to sort of, line their pockets. So for me, and of course we know that this is all a manifestation of our own karma. So we're not in a victim blame judgment conversation. So we understand that this is all coming from inside of us. And at the same time, for me, it became really clear that this was all based on ignorance.
Oh, sorry.
It was based on a breakdown in consciousness. So if one is actually conscious, you realize that we only have one planet. There's only one planet. Last time I checked, there's one. We get one.
Well,
pretty much.
Matrix field, plane of existence.
Yeah. Well, in our current 3D reality that we're locked in, yeah, it's good.
Plane material.
Yeah,
thing.
Exactly. It's better.
Yeah, we get one.
It's better right now.
Yeah, right now.
Now.
For this now.
Yeah.
In this now.
Yeah. She's trying to tell you about being an interdimensional being or something like that.
Inter and extra dimensional being. But let's maybe not go there unless you have any questions about being an inter or extra dimensional being.
Yeah,
and then we can talk to
which is important, but we're working within the matrix right now. So we're
okay.
Kind of talking within the matrix. So anyways, long story short, I started working with policymakers, with Congress, and then eventually where that led is I was very heavily involved in Occupy, talking about some of the principles, the organizing principles that organizers like Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela used that were successful. And that was a powerful time. And then after Occupy was effectively dismantled, there's sort of a long lull where it was sort of a little bit brutal as an organizer until in America, the Bernie Sanders campaign started. And of course, there's some parody with Jeremy Corbyn here. So we also love Jeremy Corbyn.
We do. We love Jeremy Corbyn. He's such a dude. I heard some of his speech at Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Yeah, because friends were there and live streaming. And just think the collective consciousness for that one and Bernie.
Yeah. So we love Bernie. So when Bernie came, in 2015, right away I was like, okay, it's on. Because for me, the intentional communities a lot of time talk about peace, and for me, being a producer and a community organizer, for me, I could see really quickly that it's important that our intention, sort of like shooting an arrow, as I was saying before, if your intention is to hit a bullseye and you don't hit the bullseye, then we get see. Yeah, exactly. We get to see what's in between. We get to see what's in between.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about peace, if we're talking about ending war, that's a big statement. And if that's our bullseye, we get to just see where within ourselves do we get to make up the ground. So that's a big part of what this workshop is. Because we are the creator, manifester of all of our reality. And there are specific transformational distinctions that we're going to explore. And also, there'll be a number of breakthrough processes and exercises.
So I want to talk a bit about some breakthrough processes.
Tell me. Do it.
So This awesome possum sitting next to me yesterday, we were just having a chat, and he was like, "Well, let's just do one of these breakthrough processes right now." I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's do that," and we did. And actually, I found it hugely powerful, very simple and hugely powerful. And I think it's Einstein who says if you can't explain it simply, you simply don't understand. And that's, I think, one of my favorite quotes that comes to mind when I think about working with Jay, because he explains it simply, and his meditations are simple and powerful, and they make sense. So the other thing that I was really struck by was in the same way that a lot of you guys experience me, in that ability to have the
Guesses.
we guess real good, luck. And so part of what we're doing here in the next hour is not just hyping up two, one. We've reconnected. That's great. Attention. Right on. So we want to hear from you. We'll talk a bit about the event. So the event on Facebook is called Transformation, Meditation, and Healing for London. That will be the Monday night in Earl's Court. You can find the link to that on my page, on my wall. And then I'll be putting up the Thursday event, which will be happening at the Hive. A lot of you know the Hive. And that will be the continuation on from that. And you called that the Visionary
Leaders Workshop.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I've seen like a little bit of like the questions that and processes that we go through, and I'm excited about it. But this space here is really intended to do what we do and love to do best, which is answer questions. So if you have questions, ask, whether it's about your life, money, relationships, career, dog, children, goldfish.
Sure.
House, sustainability,
I'll do the best
planet.
I can with the goldfish questions. But,
I've got the animals.
Oh, you got
the animals.
She's
you know,
like
you know, aliens, ETs, conspiracies. You know, go wherever you want, whatever's inspired, whatever you want to ask.
We're and also a lot of the workshop is helping to discover where our blind spots are, where we're getting stuck in our life, where if you're on this. Your vision, number one, definitely connecting with what is the authentic vision for you as a visionary leader, but also in your life, and the various aspects of your life, like she mentioned, in your career, your relationships, whatever it is. So if you're on track, if this is the track you're on, you know where you're headed, what does this track look like and what's in between? And usually what we discover is there are limiting beliefs. And a lot of this is designed to help discover where we sabotage ourselves. What are our limiting beliefs? Usually that we make up between 0 and 8, 0 and 10. And in the conversation, it does get more involved. But it's really to help uncover and discover and transform those beliefs. And once the beliefs transform, your life is going to transform automatically. And for me specifically, I hold a really specific intention to invite those of you who are really passionate about changing the world into this conversation, because we are the movement, as you can say, is the aggregate sum of the leaders in the movement, and how effective we are and how connected we are with our power, understanding where do we sabotage ourselves, both as individually and collectively. So there's a lot of really big conversations, and ultimately it's in some ways simple. We're doing the Gandhi. You be the change you wish to see in the world. How do I find my yes? My no has been helpful, but I would like... That's really important question. So Abigail asked, how do I find my yes? My no has been helpful, and I would like to find my yes. Can you be a little more specific? What do you mean by your yes? Is it your yes or your why? Do you mean like being in resistance to things? Like my no means I know I don't want that, but how do I find what I do want? Is that the question? How do I find my yes, right? So just briefly, I will talk about that, and I'm hoping I'm understanding you correctly. Ultimately, this is actually a really good point, and a lot of times, especially amongst activists, we're really in resistance there's a saying in transformation, what we resist will persist. So this is really important
They
because
say that in family work and personal work as well.
Yeah. And you can, I'm sure any one of us can go, and this is evidenced by, look at the war on drugs, the war of drugs. Toxic place and needed to know. Yeah, got it. So a lot of times, you can see this evidence on the macro scale by saying like the war on drugs actually created more drugs. Also Mother Teresa used to say that she would not go to an anti-war rally, but she would go to a pro-peace rally. So this is a big part of the conversation, the language we use to come from. So if you are in resistance, like the universe, is a giant quantum soup. Basically, it's a neutral quantum soup. So it's sort of like saying like please heal my backache, heal my backache. The universe is hearing backache.
It sounds like pancake.
Right, pancake.
I like pancakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, if you were to say
pancakes,
then you get more pancakes. If you'd say, flexibility and ease.
Yeah. So I'm living into, and what I'm also hearing you say that I was in a toxic place. And getting a clear sense of your boundaries and what isn't working. So it's a deep conversation. My recommendation is always to go to the root of it, and the question is, why am I creating this? Why am I creating this? What is the opportunity that I'm creating? What is the reason that I'm manifesting creating this situation? And inexorably, what you may discover is, and no one at any point is obligated to believe anything that we say, but you can maybe just try it on.
I would add to that. So it's like, because I know Abigail, and she's lovely. And there's a tendency as we start to explore why did I create that in this evolution of taking responsibility for ourselves and for the lives that we create for ourselves. There's a tendency to beat ourselves up. So when we first have a practice of gratitude, and I know it's like, here we go again, manifestation, practice of gratitude, it's very simple, but when we feel good, when we say, I'm really grateful that I have this shirt, it's really comfortable, when I'm really grateful that I live in an amazing city and I get to meet amazing people, and we do that for a good 5 minutes, and we start feeling that resonance of gratitude, and then from that space explore, okay, well, where did I and why did I manifest this toxic environment that is...
Sure. Great question.
Yeah?
Does this look correct?
Oh, I love this.
Okay, great.
I'm just going to grab the charger.
There's an old saying that if it's hysterical, it's historical. So mostly what we end up happening is based on our experiences as children, and there's a deeper conversation where we get into different levels of mind, in the classical Vedic distinctions, and I also want to be really clear that this I'm wearing this shirt because we're doing some meditation workshops that are purely in alignment with this. But this conversation is not directly connected to the Siddhanath Yoga Parampara. This is basically a transformational from a different transformational processes. But anyways, to answer your question, Abigail.
Right. We're back.
So, okay. So, just for the purposes of, thinking about the past, present, and future, usually, our experience is in the present, yeah? Although our mind goes to the past and the future. Usually what happens is we end up taking our past and bringing this into the present, okay? So we take our past and we bring it into the present. So I don't know if you noticed, patterns in your life. That you have you have a different relationship, different partner, same breakup, right? And you notice like, wow, how is it that I'm recreating this pattern over and over and over again? It's because our subconscious mind is absolutely profound. So if you think about it like this, you think about your mind being like an iceberg, Okay, mind is like an iceberg. If we only use 10% of our brain, roughly, and actually, according to Jung, he believed it was something like 0.01% of what is actually our conscious mind. And the rest is purely subconscious. If you look at it like this, if this is an iceberg, this is actually your conscious mind. Okay, this is your conscious thoughts. That means, and this is just to give you a facility of understanding. Like, don't get hung up on the actual numbers, the scientific numbers, but just to give you something you can sort of conceptualize in terms of your conscious thoughts versus how much of your existence is ruled by your subconscious mind. So if you look at it this way, that means that only a small portion of your consciousness is here. That means the rest of it is. Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, are we back?
Yeah.
I gotta apologize. Our Wi-Fi signal keeps going all like wonky. You'd think we're in somewhere like Mexico.
Yeah? Where are we?
We're in London.
Okay, good. We're back here.
We're back in London.
So Abigail, to answer your question, what happens is we end up, your mind associates with these past painful experiences. But what happens is when we're kids, we actually make up a belief about ourselves based on our experience. So, and it's like a seed getting planted in your mind. And once that grows, it's something like we'll have an experience and we'll make up something like men are blank based on the way we see our parents behave, your father, people in your life, the way we're treated, or, based on the way we're treated as kids, we'll make up something like I am, I'm worthless, I am, I don't deserve to be happy, whatever it is, because that's the feedback we're getting from the adults in our life. It's not true. It's not true at all. But what happens is once that seed gets planted, we will continually recreate that over and over again. And the mind will like a heat-seeking missile, will manifest and create situations so that ultimately we keep generating that experience, attracting and manifesting that experience. And then when it happens, we go, see. So it's like this. So like if there was a cocktail party, imagine 99 of the women were wonderful, spiritual, loving, healthy women. If I have a belief that women are sick or crazy or whatever it is, even if it's only one person, like a heat-seeking missile, I will be attracted to the one, that one, and then
that one will be magnetized.
Correct, exactly, perfect. And then we will both play out that psychodrama, and it actually gets even spookier, because what ends up happening is we enroll each other in each other's psychodrama. I don't know if you've ever had an experience where you were in a relationship and you were not actually, it didn't seem like
Why
you.
Why am I acting like
exactly,
this?
like this
What's
isn't
going
me.
on?
Like this isn't me. And yet you're playing it out. So you end up playing out each other's psychodrama until you realize, until you can become conscious enough to not take the bait and go.
If anybody who's watching experienced that when you're in a relationship, no matter how short, whether it's romantic or otherwise, where you have that experience where you're the observer you is watching and going, what am I doing? This isn't me. And if you have, then you just put a little thumbs up in the little, there's like a little like strip of emoticons. Mm-hmm. Give us a thumbs up if you've ever experienced that sort of, this isn't me, what's going on here? So we can gauge.
Yeah, and also, if you have friends you think that are going through similar things, you think this conversation would be valuable.
Share it on your wall. Share it in groups that you think would receive value from it.
Yeah. So, and there is a difference also, Abigail, between standing in your truth and being in resistance. Mm-hmm. So part of that is accepting on a core level that I am creating and generating and attracting this scenario and saying, okay, great. And this is where I stand. I'm standing in a new possibility. And connecting with the yes actually is is the way to move past that. A lot of these distinctions came originally out of Est, Landmark, LifeSpring. And there's a lot of transformational. I went through a program called WorldWorks, which isn't around anymore, but a lot of these transformational distinctions came out of that. You can find them, basically they're a more palatable Western version of some of the principles that go back thousands of years. And it is absolutely imperative, actually, to get to the yes, to get beyond the no. So again,
say that again.
It is imperative to get to the yes, to the why, so that you can shift past and through the no. So when we're living in the, so we have the past, present, and future. Okay, so we're either going to take and recreate the past over and over and over again. We're going to keep bringing the past. We're going to keep bringing this history into the present and reliving it. That's why you get the same boyfriend, girlfriend every time. Like you notice these patterns keep happening. Same job,
or same experience, different job.
Exactly.
Same experience, different boyfriend, different girlfriend.
Correct.
But you keep remanifesting the same experience.
Or if we know, if you've done any sort of cursory reading of quantum physics, we know if you look at the double slit experiment, it's pretty cool. We know that the human consciousness actually is directly involved in the manifestation of the creation. So in this work, what we do is we want to take the future and we bring it into the present. So you're living in the future, not like, oh God, backache, please heal my backache, but actually feeling and experiencing with, like, as Avi said, with gratitude and joy, like, what would it be like to experience perfect health? Like, I'm already in perfect health. And what happens is human consciousness is directly involved. Dr. Brooks Agnew did some great stories. If you look up, if you look up Dr. Brooks Agnew, he did some really incredible. He's a physicist. He gives some great talks on this. But living it, and this works for everything. It works for whatever it is. Your career, the aligned vision of humanity, whatever it is. So when we stand in the future, when we stand in that future and actually feel it, you can see it, touch it, taste it, smell it, and really hold that. That will give thrust, that will propel you towards that. Now that's not where the story ends, because you can continue to vision. And if the belief is really deeply rooted, and it could also be, something that you were told as a child too, like that programming. Like for me, one of the things was adults try to, condition us when we're children in a way that's positive. They mean well, but what ends up happening is it just becomes a tape that runs over. Like for me, I always heard, you're always late. You always wait till the last minute. You always wait till the last minute. Well, as kids, we're like a blank slate, and we believe generally what the adults are telling us because the world is very mysterious. Of course, children are much more in tune with source than.
Stop. Hi. So,
How do we?
Ina has asked us a question. She says, "What is the reason inflammation processes start in our bodies? Is it some because of specific emotions we experience, or maybe thoughts? And how can we stop inflammation and heal the body?" Oh, I like this question.
That's a great question. Now, part of it is, it's. And again, for me, in my process, this has just been part of my process. It's really important to, the mind wants to put things into boxes. It's this way, it's this way, it's this way, it's this way, it's this way. And that's why all of the religions vary and argue. They say, no, it's this way, no, it's this way,
no, it's this way,
no, it's this, it's this, it's this. And it's sort of like, if you look at, if you were to look at this, if I were to say, okay, Avi, this cell phone, it has a blinking red light and a black screen, and that's what it is. And it has an LG.
And I'd be like, no, it's white and has a black box and some metal stuff.
No, you're clearly wrong.
No, it clearly is white and it has this black box and some metal stuff on it.
Wrong.
Like a camera.
I can see the red
but I
blinking
can
light.
see the camera lens.
It's just it's a big screen and it says LG.
So,
okay, so we only have a small part of the picture, so it's important. I want to put that caveat there. So number one, these experiences absolutely are part of karma. Karma is encoded in our chakras, and all of our experiences are encoded in our chakras. So if you're experiencing something, it's because it's inside of you. So this is important because we experience it from the inside out. Now there's actually different levels of karma, which we can actually go back to this thing. There are three classically in
the iceberg egg.
Yeah, the iceberg. My wonderful iceberg. So there's actually three layers of karma. So you have vritti. The top layer is called the swirling pool of thoughts in your mind is called vritti, according to the classical Sanskrit. You'll read this in Patanjali. Then the next layer down is called pratyay. Pratyay is the stored thought impressions of this life. So when you're a kid, we come in as a blank slate, essentially. And based on our experiences, the things we see, the things we experience, the things that we go around, the mind starts becoming conditioned, in the present life. So no kid is born a Muslim or a Labour follower, or a Tory, or a conservative. No one is born.
I was born a fairy.
I believe that. I'm never gonna change. Yeah, but do fairies have specific conservative ideologies?
Conservative, I would call us
Were you
very
a conservative?
liberal.
Yeah, I could say a very
maybe
liberal.
even anarchistic.
An anarchist. An anarchist fairy. So, and then ultimately the deepest layer is called samskars. This is the deepest layer. So we also so pratyaya is so vritti, your swirling conscious thoughts. Pratyaya is the next layer down. That's the stored thought impressions of this life. And then the bottom layer is called samskara. Samskara is what you come in with. So some people, just have a really visceral abreaction to Christianity, for instance, and it might be because or church. They go into church and they just, they may have been, burned as a witch, or they might have been subjected to some kind of violence, or they have what seems to be an unnatural fear of drowning. So
how does that fit into the aches and pains of the body?
Great question. Because we're looking at the layers of karma that manifest. So we know that it is, if you're experiencing it in the now, it is karma. This is our karma. So that helps us to accept it. And it's a very delicate, I try to be really delicate with this, because especially if people have had experiences of what we could use we say as victimization. So we don't want to say, you never want to say to somebody who has suffered something terrible, it's oh, that's just your karma. We never want to say that.
Stop acting like a victim.
Yeah.
No.
So I want to be really clear about that. And, if we're going to have this conversation, there also is a possibility to have a lot of healing around this. So my apologies. I really hope that this doesn't hurt anyone who...
Well, I think it's layers. So what I really love about your perspective is that you go for the root.
Yes.
You're just okay, I see the symptoms,
right,
but let's get a diagnosis and let's go for the root. Because once we get to the root of it, all those symptoms, both the ones that you can attach together and the ones that you are not able to map, will go.
Yes. Correct.
And it can happen really fast. So you've got two methods. One is you deal with the symptoms and help that to be a little bit more easy, and while focusing on the root. So really what I hear you speaking into is how to get to the root of why you've manifested these aches and pains in your body.
Correct. And we're going to go to another diagram that I hope will support on some level.
Mm-hmm. And then I'll speak to some of the things that you can do to help
in a
with
practical
the symptoms.
sense.
Yeah,
Right.
I love pragmatic solutions.
Right. So here, if inside of our chakras, so we hear the word chakras, and if you don't know what a chakra, I'm assuming we got some woke people on
Woke people. We got a lot of woke people.
Yeah.
She's lovely, he's lovely, he's lovely.
And Michael Day's
and Michael
here.
Day's
Yay!
here. Oh, he's so cosmic.
So we're gonna make it cosmic.
We're gonna make it cosmic.
We're gonna get we're gonna get cosmic for Michael Bay right now. It's
Right.
perfect timing.
Now, and I think he's shared the video, and 2 others have shared the video. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Keep sharing and liking it and loving and laughing us up.
So we're gonna get super cosmic right now.
Super cosmic.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
yes, cosmic. I can't wait to meet Michael Bay. I'm very
You
excited.
haven't met? No.
I haven't.
No, you haven't met
I-
Michael
I-
Bay.
not
Oh
yet.
my gosh.
Just, but
Okay.
his legend.
His
lives on.
legend precedes
Yeah.
him.
So our chakras are located inside of the spinal cord. Okay, so this, and for me, like my training comes through Yogi Raj Siddhanath in terms of the esoteric yogic knowledge. So according to our training, but you can also find this in the Vedas as well, and lots of different texts, ancient texts. So anyways, if you look at our spinal cord, the spinal cord is where all of the chakras are located. So these are 6 pranic centers where which are the storehouses of your karma. Okay, so within each, we're actually like an onion. So we have a physical body. Within the physical body is a mental body. Within the mental body is an emotional body. Okay, so I'm sorry, physical body. Within the physical body is an emotional body. Within the emotional body is a mental body. Within the mental body is the spirit. Okay, and so there are also sub-layers they're called the koshas. We won't get into the specifics, but just to be simple.
If you have questions, write them there,
Yeah.
and we'll get to them.
Yeah, we can get more specific later. So inside, this is actually all inside of your spine, which is why all of these Himalayan techniques are practiced inside of the spinal cord. This is why Kriya Yoga is practiced inside of the spinal cord. And when the prana enters into the life force energy, enters into the subtler channels, what we do is we dissolve the seeds of karma inside of the chakras. Okay?
Doesn't that sound nice?
Yes.
It sounds nice to me. If it sounds nice to you, let us know. Like, love.
Give us
all
a
of that.
love.
Keep doing that.
So to answer your question, where does the disease, where does the inflammation come from? Well, of course, it has to first start at the level, at the mental body. It has to start in the idea body. Okay, so this gets stored, in the deeper layers here, and eventually it gets manifest. It gets brought into manifestation. So here, this is my very crude drawing I just made. So within the hollow tube of the spine, we have the first layer inside of the spinal cord where the chakras are located. It's called the Sushumna Nadi. Okay, this is the first layer. Okay, so within 1/100th of a hair's breadth of that, it's called the Vajra Nadi. Okay, this is a psychic channel where the chakras are located. This is the Vajra Nadi. So that you have your physical body, you have your astral emotional body, or your celestial body. Inside of that is the mental cosmic. This is for Michael Bay. Your cosmic body. So your mental causal body. Then within that is the Brahma Nadi. So this is the Sushumna Nadi, the Vajra Nadi, the Chitra Nadi, and then the Brahma Nadi. Okay? So, and at the core of our own being, it's so simple, is the divine spirit. So this is actually how, when we say we are source, we are creator, this is it. It's in the very core of your being. It's just, it's covered up by the mind. But Guru Nath says, Master Yogi Raj says, that all of us are the lights. Imagine a lamp glass with a light. And he says that we're just like your mind and ego and your karma is like the soot on the edge of the lamp glass. So you sort of have to go through it. Now Yogananda was very big on affirmations. So if you can really impress upon the mind that I am healthy, I am whole, I am healed. And then what happens is it passes through these layers. So everything is coming through from source, but it is getting filtered first from source through the causal mental body, through the astral emotional body, then into the physical body. So it comes out like that. And if you can think about it more like, I think it's more like they're like filters than anything. So everything we're experiencing is being projected through a filter. So, and if the filter,
that makes sense. If
you make up something, a belief, at any point that there's something wrong with you, for instance, zang.
Hello, I've had that one.
Yeah.
I've had that.
So it's like if there's something wrong with you, you're going to continually project, create, generate the experience of something being wrong with you.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of really intentional work. And the beauty of practicing the meditations is actually consciousness automatically transforms the chaos of mind into divine mind. Okay, this is also what yeah. You want to jump in?
Well, so I wanted. There's two things I wanted to say. One, which is super inspired in this right now moment. God, I just said that.
It's all good. Roll with it.
In this right now cosmic moment, is the vehicle within the body that can help you get there is the breath. Mm-hmm. So as I'm listening to the wonderful Jay, I'm we're back. So I'm feeling what he's saying and having a physical response and taking a deep breath to expand, integrate, and relax into it. And which is exactly the perfect thing to do whenever we're exploring any of these topics, whenever we're exploring what's going on with what's going on with we. So that's the first thing, is the breath. Yeah. And then just to speak a little bit to something. So you were talking about how Yogananda was really big on affirmations. Yeah. And then of course, there's Louise Hay, who is like the affirmation queen, and she's done some really thorough research about the specifics. Yeah, and all these are, from my perspective anyway, are the jumping off points into your own investigation. So the jumping off point that she would say inflammation is about is that it's subtle anger. So within these articulations of the different bodies, you would say, okay, well, I can see that, let's say my arm, shoulder, elbow is inflamed on my left side. Okay, so there's something going on within the left side, just my feminine side, that's angry. And then begin through first loving myself to help reduce the pain, because the pain is uncomfortable, and thanking the pain for bringing my awareness to that something that's not quite right in the intention or bullseye of living an easeful, graceful, peaceful, joyful life, or whatever your bullseye is. And then you dive into what I call the root finding. I call it being a pig, because pigs are amazing at rooting up stuff. I mean, it's silly.
It is silly.
It's totally silly.
It's like digging for gold. Or truffles.
Truffles! Yeah. Truffles are amazing. So, yeah, digging in and going through those layers of the onion that you are to understand what is it that's causing this inflammation, so that I can let it go and feel good in my body continuously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you look at it too, like, where does the anger start? The anger starts with an idea.
Yeah.
You know, there's something that I see as unacceptable, and then, you know, that triggers an emotional reaction, and then that actually I have a physical reaction based on that. Yeah, so I think that's really in alignment.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, totally.
So, anything else that we want to
Any more questions? Any more questions? Anything that's been inspired? Any comments from people?
Yeah.
Babes. Ooh, babes. Hey, Charlotte. Hey, babes.
Yeah.
Charlotte and Michael Day are here. Yeah.
Charlotte.
Groovy. So Charlotte was also with us at Stonehenge when we were doing the
Earth
Peace Meditation. Yeah. And then shortly afterwards, we shot this video, which you can see on my wall or on Charlotte's wall, where we were channeling Michael Day and we were saying, babes, yeah,
So yeah, you can enjoy that.
Uber babes. Uber babes.
Uber babes.
Uber babes. We've gone Uber.
We've so what now?
Oh my gosh. So amazing. I see Rodrigo is here. He's a friend from Mexico. And Eugene. Eugene is amazing with handstands. So Eugene actually inspired something really profound in me a couple years ago.
Like when you did the handstand, handstand on the heel stone?
You got it.
Yeah.
He nailed it. He nailed it completely. So, yeah, I was in a space when I really need a different perspective. And I logged onto Facebook, and Eugene, who's like Captain Handstand, was there doing his handstands. I'm like, oh, that's it! I will do handstands! And that's my different perspective. And actually, it's been really profound. So next time anybody goes to Stonehenge, I recommend doing handstands on the pyramids, that's Mexico, on the stones, because actually, without going too much into the whole science behind the paramagnetic stones and the power of the paramagnetic stones, with the alignment of your third eye and ears and various proteins, which are produced, which are all piezoelectric and create electromagnetic fields.
Say that 3 times fast. Say piezoelectric.
Piezoelectric, piezoelectric, piezoelectric. I did it. Steve wrote that.
Wow, you two look so Kundalini. Very interesting. I love this. Do you know what Kundalini is?
It's energy.
Yes, it is.
It's like serpent-like energy.
Yes, it is. It is.
So no, there's not enough room.
Would you like to know? I have a feeling that you're going to try it anyway.
No, that's so dangerous here.
Yeah. So, and again, according to the knowledge that I've received from Gurnath, and the Kundalini is actually, we hear the word Kundalini, it is the serpentine energy coiled around the base of the spine 3.5 times. And what's really cool is it is the remainder of the kinetic energy after the Big Bang. So from
Ooh,
it,
say that
blam,
again.
it is the remainder of the kinetic energy after the Big Bang. So
one more time.
it is the remainder of the kinetic energy after the Big Bang. So from the infinitesimal point, in a less than a billionth of a second, Stephen Hawking, I think, puts it at a point with 11 zeros and a 1. Nth of the second, the universe expanded to its present size. So it sort of explodes like that, and then it steadies, and then it starts to expand. But that initial explosion in less than a billionth of a second, which is really incredible if you think about the fact that our planet can barely be seen in the solar system, and the solar system can barely be seen inside of the galaxy, and the galaxy can barely be seen inside of the cluster, and the cluster inside of the supercluster, and the supercluster inside of the universe, and so on.
Onions, man.
You know, and the universe itself is just a infinitesimal fraction of cosmic
onions.
And that is what you are. It's what you are. You are that. So, but the point is that the remainder of that energy is called the cosmic Kundalini, and the reason that this is important is because it is very, very powerful. You have that in the macro sense, which is the cosmic Kundalini, and then you have it in the individual sense, which is your individual Kundalini. And the process of enlightenment is actually the elevation of the Kundalini energy that rises through the various chakras. So that is what the practice of Kriya Yoga and these different techniques are about.
So why does the Kundalini begin to awaken?
Great question. Sometimes it can be, it's obviously your karma, so depending on how you have practiced in your past lives, it's your spirituality is really the only thing that you get to put in the bank. So it's like a YouTube video that loads. Not says it's like a YouTube video that loads and then it buffers. Essentially, then you come. So when you'll awaken that Kundalini, sometimes people activate it by accident. It'll be hit by accident. It can be awakened by practice. So essentially, the Kundalini energy rises through the spine when we dissolve the karma, which is in our chakras, sort of like cleaning the soot in the chimney. So all, like, according to my master's master, Babaji, all spiritual evolution takes place inside of the spinal cord. Until the breath, and actually the breath is the vehicle for prana, for the life force energy. So breath is key, but breath is actually the vehicle for life force energy. And it is this, as the Kundalini gets more and more awakened, which is not so easy to do, as the Kundalini gets more and more awakened, we ascend, the awareness enters into vaster realms. So in each chakra is according to a different sphere. So I don't know if you know the Gayatri mantra, that's Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha, Bhur Bhum Swam Mahom Tapalok. So there's different. I'm gonna get complicated here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep it there. So the point is as you manifest heaven within you, it will appear without. So this is going to bring it back to why all of this is important for activists, because as you awaken the power. This is why Gandhi actually also practiced Kriya Yoga. Gandhi was initiated by Paramahansa Yogananda.
Huh.
So, and he spent a lot of time in jail, practicing Kriya. So as you awaken the power within, your ability to manifest will become very powerful. So the more leaders we have that are actually, and this is not the only technique of self-realization. There are lots of different techniques. They're all great.
So we've actually got a lot of leaders joining us. So, but they're all actually really different. So there's a lot of people who do social things. So, like for example, Eugene runs like acro yoga and handstand stuff, and Rodrigo does more like social get-togethers in Playa del Carmen, and Charlotte with her springs and wild knowledge, and so it's really vast, very different leaders that we have actually joining us right now. So within all of this, I think the connecting is not just an activism, because in their own way, everybody here is an activist,
Sure.
even if they're not mapping that is what they are. So how can people take this conversation and evolve their ability to lead?
Great question. In what way do you mean? In terms of this conversation?
Well, I mean,
what aspect of this conversation do you mean?
It has been quite a vast conversation.
It is.
Well, specifically, we were just talking about Kundalini. So I've had spontaneous Kundalini awakenings, both through meditation experience back in 2010, and then more recently, in November, it began through the inspiration of another person, just through sort of meditating with that person, my Kundalini began to wake up. And of course, meaning-making machine, we all want to, I want to, and whenever we have strong experiences, we want to apply meanings to those things. But what
Well, the mind wants to create a story and fuel the ego.
It makes us feel better. It does.
It's natural.
Yeah. So with all of these other meaning-making machines who have tuned in, and all of them in some form of leadership position, my curiosity is, how can we take these awarenesses of our evolution, which is what we're talking about, and apply them in a way which expands our leadership?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So I can speak from my own experience.
Yeah, please.
In my own experience, it was something that happened naturally. The more the consciousness expands, the more connected you feel to all of humanity. And not just in an intellectual way, but in a real palpable way. You realize that I am not just myself, I am my family, I am my community. You feel a very visceral and very real connection. And, sort of, you wouldn't want, like, one finger, doesn't get mad at the other finger, or, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Like the two hands, like, you don't hit your hand with a hammer and the other hand goes, what did you do? Like, this one doesn't get mad at it. Yeah. So, and it just becomes natural that you want to share this. So the peaceful earth we dream of is the aggregate sum of peaceful humans. So number one, I would say that, as we become more awakened and more healthy and more whole, yes, we are also always whole and healthy and whole. And the awareness doesn't realize that when we're trapped in the egoic self. So the more we awaken, the more we expand. I feel the more we have a natural inclination to share that. You want to share that with others and to relieve their suffering. Secondly, the reason this is important, I believe, is to understand that if you are creating and generating your reality, it's all of it. So when Gandhi said, he didn't say be the change as a passive statement. It was a very active and dynamic statement. So, if you really are going to be intentional about creating that, the world is on fire right now. Let's not get it twisted.
God, it's so hot right now.
Crazy. And
it's crazy hot.
The good news is that generally, if you work with people in transformation, usually before the biggest breakthroughs is the biggest breakdown. So usually that the ego, the darkness will rally. That mind will rally before we have the greatest awakening, the greatest breakthrough.
I call the chaos the goop stage.
So goop, it's so goopy.
In that process of metamorphosis, my favorite analogy, of course, is the butterfly.
Yes.
So when the butterfly or when the caterpillar forms the chrysalis, it literally becomes goop. If you were to cut the chrysalis open, it would just be like...
Actually, it turns itself inside out.
It does.
It literally turns itself inside out.
It's literally like, it's goop. It's like slime.
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable.
And then it reforms itself and moves through a tiny opening, squeezes itself out to squeeze off all that liquid to dry its wings before being able to spread them and be strong enough then to fly away. That's the process of the caterpillar becoming the butterfly. So I very much resonate with that goop, fire, hot, uncomfortable space that we collectively are in.
Yeah, absolutely. And individually, we get to really like turn ourselves inside out.
Yeah.
Because this is the work. And again, working in, I was really blessed to, work in the Bernie Sanders movement, and also then at Standing Rock. And applying this, what I discovered is my ability to create. I don't like the word change, but to create and be the progenitor of transformation, to help foster transformation in others and in society. This is the work, So when we uncover and discover the limiting beliefs that are sort of what's it preventing, but when those beliefs are transformed, and we live into more empowering beliefs that I am powerful, I am worthy, I am a great leader, I deserve success, those types of things. What happens is you'll automatically start creating that everywhere. And there are practical. In the workshops we are going to go through actually some practical, tactical organizing principles as well that are important of how we become effective leaders. Because in my view, it's not about, again, like I just say it over and over again, we talk about peace, we talk about this peaceful world, but we really get to, at this time where we get to create this world for the future generations. And if you know anything about climate change, if you look at the science, like it's like the house is burning. The house is burning right now, so we get to be a little more urgent about it.
I feel like being like the roof is on fire.
But we don't want to let it.
We like the water now, please.
Yeah. So that's a lot of that's what we're going to be getting into.
So we've got a little bit more time, and I'd love to hear from more of you if you have any questions. I know that a bunch of people who've tuned in have lots of stuff going on in their lives, and this is really your opportunity to ask something and receive an answer, because not only are both of us full of information and knowledge, we also are full of wisdom and a little bit witchy.
And the paradox is yes, and also know nothing.
Oh, that's true. So, while you're here in this beautiful space on Facebook on this Sunday, use us. That's why we've gone live.
I love when people try to stump.
Oh yeah, when people are trying, like, it's like,
bring on the
challenge.
What do you got?
Who's got something to say?
But this is also really important when you're working in groups, I find too, because this, when we went back to talking about enrolling each other in the psychodrama, the toughest thing that I've discovered in organizing is the infighting, the gossiping.
The internal, like, who needs enemies when you've got, like...
I'm telling you, literally, I was involved in organizing. We created a bank exit campaign, so it was really
successful.
Yeah, it's going pretty good. So with Susan Sarandon, I was able to create a campaign called Bank Exit, #BankExit, which is then has evolved. We merged with a campaign called Defund Dabble. So, but Bank Exit was a program to help people take their money out of the banks that are funding fossil fuels, and specifically the Dakota Access Pipeline. So, reached out to some incredible activist supporters like Mark Ruffalo, Shailene Woodley, Susan Sarandon, Dennis Cassini, Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy's a friend of mine, Bobby Kennedy Jr. It really incredible. Alex Ebert from Edward Sharp was in the conversation. Matthew Cook, this great, amazing maker, and literally within 24 hours, as you know, I got some footage that the pipeline had reached the river. Like, so they were right on the verge of going across the river. And if you don't know, like, you know, do a little research on what's been happening at Standing Rock. So it was a foreign oil company, Canadian oil company, was trying to push a pipeline through indigenous reservation land, the Standing Rock Sioux land. They were originally going to go through the white neighborhoods in Bismarck, but you know, the pipelines break, so the white residents decided that it would be better to put it through the indigenous sovereign land. So there was an incredible uprising that I don't want to call it an uprising. It was called water protectors. So
it was an incredible coming together.
Yeah, it was one of the most beautiful, prayerful, maybe over 10,000 people, and prayerful and peaceful.
Worldwide support.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It still is really remarkable. So we've got Eugene. He's asked this question. What were you starting to say about the chant?
About the chant? Which chant?
Which chant? Yeah. I know that we
will be chanting tonight. So if we're at the Red Gallery tonight at 6:30, we'll be 6:30, 7 o'clock. We'll be doing some more traditional kirtan, bhajan, sacred chants. We'll be doing the Earth Peace meditation.
I'm just going to post it right now.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that over at the Red Gallery, and we're here in Shoreditch.
Yeah,
right?
That's where we are.
Yeah, so and this is being organized by a few of the local acharyas or the teachers. Monday's workshop is not specifically affiliated. It's going to be mostly transformational. Visionary leadership exercises, though, you know, we will also be doing this Earth Peace meditation because it's just one of my favorite things to do. We'll be chanting Om in a very specific way, visualizing the sun and moon. This is also given by Yogi Raj. We did this Earth Peace meditation at Occupy LA. So
wow,
I was there. Was very involved in Occupy LA in Los Angeles. And the night they came to take down the camp, there was 1,000 people camped out on City Hall for 3 months, and about 1,500 riot police showed up. And if you ever see 1,500 riot police, it's lining shoulder to shoulder. It is very impressive. And you know, but they showed up to take down the camp impromptu, and we showed up, and what we did is we created a circle on the steps of City Hall, and we practiced this for about 2 hours.
Wow.
We'll be doing this shorter, but it was quite sort of urgent at the time. And at 3 a.m, they came on the bullhorn and said that they decided to go home. I don't have any science to prove this, but we had about 50 people practicing that for about 2 hours, and I have seen a lot of miracles happening. So, you know, this is one of my favorite things to do. It's completely non-denominational, and the energy that you are going to feel with all of these people really going for it and chanting Om in these very specific ways, you're going to be lit. I promise. I guess
more bring on the opposite fire. Like, so this is a question. I mean, and again, like any of these conversations that inspire, question, or comment, please write them in the comment section below if you're on your phone, or to the side if you're on your computer. So I've been experiencing this discernment between like a hot consuming fire that burns shit down, and what I call, it's almost like cold fire. Yeah, and I find that it's still high energy, high electricity, high like cold burning feeling. Like if you could imagine hot fire, but it feels cool. And actually, I find that it puts out that which is destructive. Are you familiar with anything like this?
Can you be a little more specific?
Sure. Let's see. So,
do you mean in terms of in an energetic sense?
I'm talking in an energetic sense. So I know the distinction or discernment within hot electricity and cold electricity. And if you guys go and start learning a bit more about Tesla, you'll understand the discernment in these different currents. But the reason why I started that exploration is because I was having these experiences of like hot, and it felt like everything was burning down. And then something realigning, and it still felt like fire, but instead of everything burning down, it felt more easy to sustain and actually life affirming.
So there are some, I actually can't talk about the very specifics of some of it, but within some of the esoteric practices, the experience of the coolness and the experience of the heat. You know, tapas actually means heat. So tapa, that's why, you know, if you've ever been to Inipi, people call it sweat lodge, but it's called Inipi. These are purification. Purification rituals, which we can also do within our own body. So in terms of transforming, let me say, tamasa, the inertia, the darkness, the baseness. You know, it's called inertia. You know, for that to transform, it's sort of like going from ice to water to the vapor to steam. So we're working to do that within our own body. You know, because there actually is no, if you understand on a quantum level, this is just a giant soup. There is no separation between us, this matter, and everything else. But it appears so because of our egoic delusion. So as we raise the vibration, you'll see that it is actually, the experience becomes one. It actually,
I am the table.
Yeah, it does take on a dreamlike quality.
This is me.
Yeah. It is, in a way. You know, it's just we don't. It's not real to us because of our mind.
Because we experience these.
Yeah.
Things
So there are some esoteric principles that are for what you're talking about. I just I am.
So does anybody else who's watching? Do you guys get weird stuff going on with you? Do you have sensations in your body, and do you have the community to talk about these things with? Do you have people that you have these conversations with when you experience something that is maybe out of the ordinary? Do you get cosmic?
Let's get silly.
Do you have a cosmic family that you can talk to about these things? Come on, you guys. Come on, Michael Day.
Any other questions?
Before we call it an hour? Okay. So, I
hope that this was.
It was fun for me.
I had fun.
So, and yeah, definitely Michael Day had fun. I could feel him laughing in the ethers. Yeah, so there's a workshop on Monday in Earl's Court. The information is posted there. I'll be getting up.
It's at the Finborough Arms.
The Finborough Arms.
And would ask to be on time, like before 7.
Doors open at 6:30. It says 6:45, but doors open at 6:30, and we'll begin at 7, and we'll go on until 10. Yes.
So this is and also we would, if you know anyone who is an organizer who's in this conversation, you know, it's an incredibly team building experience too. It's a way to build connection. So if there's anyone also that you're working with that you want to build connection with, the exercises are designed to build connection. It's breakthrough, very high energy, very immersive. It's very dynamic, and you will emerge with a much deeper commitment to your vision. You know, so if you're at on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're at a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, you know, we're working to bridge that between that space between 5 and 10.
Awesome.
So when you're at a 10 level intention, you will create whatever it is. So Monday at the
Finborough Arms.
Finborough Arms, and then Thursday will be at the Hive
in Hyverston.
Same
time.
Yeah, so please be on time. I also recommend a light stomach, keeping more of a light stomach. Don't eat a big heavy meal if you can. What else?
Lots of water.
Yeah, and I would invite you to think of, you know, if there are 3 areas of your life for healing or breakthrough, have the intention, go in with a specific intention.
Do people need to bring pens, paper,
it'd be better to bring,
journals, anything
yes,
like that?
Please bring a notepad and pen.
Anything
and
sacred?
And an open heart.
No, open
you
heart.
are sacred.
Okay. All right.
Bring your sacred temple.
Self.
Yes. And if you want to bring your whatever you can.
Bring your crystals.
Yes.
I travel around with like this.
I know that. I'm aware of that. Remember. Great.
I love my optical calcite, man.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
It's great.
It's my stone right now. So, yeah, I'll be putting the Thursday's Facebook event up, and I'll be linking it to all of this. And if you have any questions, send me a message, send Jay a message. He's tagged in the Q&A description. And, yeah.
Please share this. Please, spread the word.
If you have any further questions, I invite you to message me back. I do warn that I get a lot of messages, so if it takes me a little while to get to you, don't be offended, just be patient.
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. Well, from us to you, wishing you a beautiful Sunday. And for those of you who are in London, come on down to the Kriya meditation group and chanting workshop.
Yeah, it's at the Red Gallery.
It's at the Rooftop Terrace in Shoreditch from 6 to 8 p.m. The address is here in the comments section of this live stream. Well, it's right here. So it's
Rivington Street.
Rivington Street.
The Red Market.
Yep, it's right there in the comment section. That they can read in the comment section of this live stream. Rock on with your bad selves. That means they love you, by the way, in American Sign Language.
Yeah.
But not here in the UK, because apparently sign language is different all over the planet.
Is it?
Yeah, but in America, in sign language, this means I love you. So, I love you.
Let's end in the 11-11. Ready?
Okay, you ready?
Ready?
5. There's the finish button. 4, 3, yeah!